I think when visitors come to the museum, it's one of the things that they ask themselves, how did all this stuff get here? And it's really clearly documented with all of these different materials.
We are an institutional archive, and the material in the archives really best describes the collection and also tells you a lot about Isabella Stewart Gardner.
The kind of questions that I'm asking are things like, where did Gardner get this from? How much did she pay? When did it come here?
Whose handwriting is that?
Whose handwriting is that on a letter? That's one of the questions I'm always, is that hers or his? And those are the kind of questions that the archive can help answer.
The documentation for the story of this painting come from a number of different sources. Isabella Stewart Gardner's personal papers, 2 different photo collections, and then we have correspondence from Ralph Curtis's file. He likes to write to her all sorts of information about artists and people they have in common. His correspondence is very lively and a lot of fun to read. He was also a very important art advisor for Gardner, so even though they had this friendship, they did have this important business relationship, and Curtis helps Gardner acquire many important things for the museum.
In 1884, Curtis is, proposing this painting for Gardner to buy. He writes to her this wonderful letter saying that he's found this painting for her and he thinks that she's going to love it, and he's made a sketch of it in watercolour, and the sketch is actually remarkably close to the painting itself. One thing that becomes clear is that she said, yes, I'll take it based on his description and his sketch of it. This has to do with the harvest festival, and everyone's decked out in their best regalia, even though really this boy is poor. And from Mancini's description, he draws this comparison between the kind of sadness on this boy's face and then the pride with which he's standing there with his lantern and all of his offerings to the Madonna to be blessed. So it's really quite a kind of poignant image for me, and I think it really holds its own in that space. It's one of the most powerful paintings in that gallery. The Gardners, they saw it in Rome at an excavation site, and we know that because of Jack made a note about it in his diary. Went at 11 a.m. with Professor Lanciani and a party to visit the Colonna Gardens. Then we went to see the mosaic pavements found at Villa Livia.
And what we have here is the receipt for the payment,
saying that Mariangeli has received 1,500 lira for the mosaic, and then it's dated 1897. This is a letter written by Jack Gardner to Sebastian Realis, handing over the crates containing the mosaics and saying which dealer he'd purchased them from.
This is an invoice from the custom house broker, E.A. Snow, on State Street in Boston. And this is a receipt for the warehousing of the mosaic. So what happens is that Jack Gardner has the crates containing the mosaic and pieces of the mosaic basically warehoused from 1897 and then until 1900. And the reason there's this long gap is because Jack Gardner passes away in 1898. And so the crates aren't called to America by Gardner until 1900 when she's building the museum. This is a page from the architect Willard T. Sears' diary. It says, Friday, the 20th of December in 1901, the mosaic is laid in Fenway Court. Masons finished laying the mosaic square in center of court yesterday and finished leveling up the court today.
At the moment, we're cataloguing the collection, the museum's art collection, and we look at all of the material related to the history of an object. And just a couple of months ago, we got an email from a guy in Rome saying, have you seen this picture before? It appears to be a photo taken from the excavation from about 1892, and that is really quite remarkable to see such an early photograph of our mosaic in the place that it was found. So it's incredible.